Wait, no, but it can't be. It can't be the worst. It can't be the worst. It can't be the worst!
But it tried to be good, it really did! It's not my fault it was bad. There was good things in there. It really did try.
Tell someone. Tell someone not. Tell someone.
Hey buddy, you know, before you knew me, I was living in university accommodation. The year was 2021. I played a game called Link the Faces of Evil. Society says I'm not supposed to like it, but despite all its objective flaws, I actually kind of liked it, and now my mind is frazzled. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So can I just tell you about it real quick?
Mate, what is it this time?
Thank you, you sound so interested. So it all started back in 2021, as I've said, in my university accommodation, as I've said. I was sitting on the floor looking through a stack of games because I wanted to play them and talk about them on the internet, and I didn't know what to do. But here we get to the point where I shut my wardrobe.
It's too new. It's too well known. This is a DVD. Guess it'll do. Come on. It's mad to think there's so many games out there, yet I always still end up coming back to the same company's systems. I guess I just trust that familiar gold bolt sealer quality. I mean, have you ever played Bombad Racing? It's a travesty. I get a skin rash whenever I touch a Sony licensed product now. I guess I just wish there was a way I could experience something new, but still stick to a familiar cast of characters.
Join me, Blues, and I will make your face the greatest in Korodai, or else you will die.
Yeah, I'm okay, thanks. To be fair, I can always go third party but stick to a recognisable cast of characters. Nintendo's pretty lenient with letting other companies work with their IPs. For example...
Back in the 90s, Square developed Super Mario RPG, which received critical acclaim following its release. Later on, Hudson Soft came along to develop the Mario Party series before they got dissolved into Konami, as you do, and at some point EA came along and made a basketball game with Mario, Luigi and Peach in it.
Why?
For whatever reason, Square Enix got on that trend, and then he went to the Olympics with Sonic. 6 times.
There's more spin-offs with Mario in the title and there are babies in the world. Nintendo is known to hold such a tight grasp on their characters, so it perplexes me that they contract Mario out like it's a disease. The only other Nintendo IP slightly mangled by other companies is Zelda, and she got an indie game at best and Sonic level at worst. All things considered, that's a pretty good track record of trust to give to third parties. What? Dear Festy Fair student, the Koopalings that I have sent you a gift, permanent warranty if it breaks. I dare you to play it if you can. Right, that checks out, but I thought I sent me a baking oven.
During the late 20th century, Nintendo and Sega were having a bit of an argument over whose system was more popular among 10-year-olds. Sure, Sega had Sonic, who was fast, had a bit of an attitude, and 3 core games all on one system. But Nintendo had Reznor. Scared by a few sprites of a dinosaur, Sega developed the Sega CD system add-on and then released an interactive video game about watching teenage girls on it. Jesus Christ. Yeah, Reznor wasn't going to do anything against this, so quivering in their boots, Nintendo approached Sony of all companies and asked them to help develop a CD add-on for the Super Nintendo in the same vein as the Sega CD. This resulted in the Nintendo PlayStation, which never released.
That explains the skin rash. Nintendo weren't happy with the small print in the contract about how profits would be shared between them and Sony, so Nintendo went to Sony's competitor Philips instead. Naturally, Sony cancelled all the arrangements they had for the Nintendo PlayStation because of this, which is weird because...
Philips already had their own system called the CDI, or Compact Disc Interactive, and I hope whoever came up with that got several promotions.
Alright, well, thanks for joining the business meeting with us, Philip, yet again. True. Now, as you know, we've been procrastinating on a name for this interactive disc system for a while. Management says it all got extended over time until somebody can figure it out, so do you have any ideas? How about the compact disc interactive?
It wasn't actually a dedicated game console, rather a general all-purpose media player, which included its own unique form of CD that several games got released on. This also means you could play the various games on a regular TV remote on one of many CDI systems.
The Nintendo CD add-on never fell through, but Philips did get an exclusive licensing agreement from the contract. Essentially, they were allowed to create their own games using Nintendo's properties. From this, 1 Mario game released and 3 Zelda games. I'm guessing I have one of them here with me now, so...
So, here's Link the Faces of Evil, you know, a part of that famous Link franchise, it's a classic. Alright, opening menu, and we've got a nice selection of options like Start Game and New Game.
I think that's the same thing, Philip.
Of course, these are complemented by End Game and Help. And don't get me wrong, I'd like a new game, but I should probably give this one a chance first, so let's go with Start Game instead for now.
Gee, it sure is boring around here.
Now that's some foreshadowing if I've ever seen any.
Credit where it's due, these cutscenes certainly have a unique art style. They're so overly animated, but at the same time everybody's movements are just inhuman. Like everybody keeps getting closer to the camera, just to cower away like I'm threatening them with a knife. Anyway, Link wants to get some.
Wow, what are all those heads?
And then Gwonam, the absolute legend, opens up this map in the most seamless cutscene integration any game has ever done.
You know what? I'm actually getting pretty excited to play this game. This game from 1993 has a fully animated cutscene with voice acting, an extensive map, and a belter of a song to go with that. As far as first impressions go, it defies anything the Super Nintendo had. Have you ever played A Link to the Past? What was the opening cutscene for that, like 2 nanoseconds? And it didn't even have Gwonam in it.
I decided to head to Garonu first because it sounded like the funniest option, and look! There's Link! There he is! There's enemies spawning everywhere. Faces of Evil is a 2D platforming game, much like Zelda 2, although it's so incredibly slow and the movement as a whole is just a drag. And get this right, get this. You have to press the up button to jump. And look, I get it, I'm playing on a TV remote, but a typical CDI controller would come with at least 3 buttons, one of which is dedicated to using your sword and the other is a reserve slot, basically for equipping different items. To enter the pause menu so you can equip said items, you have to crouch and press the item button. Wonderful! It's also the same button you use to enter doors, which is not only a piss take when I literally cannot see where the door is and waste all my items, but guess what the third button on the controller does?
Nothing.
It is literally impossible to play this game with less than 3 buttons, and yet they decided not to program in a simple pause button. Like, I can get having up be jump in case you're playing the game on a controller like this one, or maybe even this one. But the pause menu is genuinely the biggest piss take ever. Anyway, all of that was a diversion for how long it takes to cross this bridge at Garonu, but I think I've made it across now. Finally. Alright, that's okay, we'll just cross again. At least it gives us an opportunity to farm rubies, because enemies literally don't stop spawning around here. Oh my god, where are they all coming from?
Ha! We got you there, mate!
There's also a malnourished Pokemon that is basically impossible to avoid, and likewise impossible to hit! Why? I tried to take it slowly, avoid collecting rubies, and manage each enemy one by one, but there's just too many spawning at once again!
Haha, we got you again!
Eventually though, with enough persistence, you can get to this inconspicuous rock, which I assume you need to break, but the sword does absolutely nothing to it, so I'm guessing I need to pick up bombs from somewhere. But look, I'll admit it, I'm completely lost. There is that old house back at the start of the map though. I assume there's got to be some way in here, otherwise it's a soft lock. It's Morshu!
Lamp oil.
Finally, I've met Morshu, the local merchant of Korodai. You know, he was something of a reborn legend in 2020, but anyways. I was able to buy some bombs off him and make my way back to the cave entrance, so finally I can actually progress and see what more this game has to offer me. Okay, right, so we've got these ghoulie geezers flying around, Gwonam is here for some reason, and there's a very apparent lack of literally anything.
What, is the game bugged? Am I just not allowed to comprehend my position in basic 2D space? There's still consistent collision everywhere, so if the texture's just not loaded in, like, what am I meant to do?
Lamp oil.
So after a trek back to Morshu's Bazaar...
I was right there. You saw that. That enemy just spawned right in front of me. How am I supposed to react to that? By the way, when you die in this game, you respawn back at the last door you went through, so guess where I am now? The cave.
So after another trek back to Morshu's Bazaar, I picked up some lamp oil. Then I head back to the cave to use the lamp oil. And how do I? Look, I've clearly got it in my inventory. What do I have to do to use it? At this point, I've just completely given up. I've experienced like 3 screens in the game and I've gotten nowhere. I have absolutely no concerns about this restarting all of my process without saving. I'm going back to the menu and I am getting help.
Hey! Wanna fight the forces of evil in Korodai? Check it out! It's easy!
Is it now? Link talks us through the basic controls, which I already know, but he also shows off that the game has a beam sword, much like, you know, every other Zelda game. Plus, the game makes a big deal out of being able to do the duck waddle, which I'll admit is cool at the time, but it's really not a unique selling point anymore, Link, I'll be honest. I'm sorry, Link, but it's the 21st century now, times have changed.
Yeah, so overall the help section was completely useless. Time to resort to the internet.
I found this guide on GameFaqs and I was sort of on the right track. It suggests the first thing to do is head to Garonu and grind rubies from the primitive prick, so at least I have that going for me. Once you have enough money to repay the debts animation magic spent making this game, stockpile items from Morshu and then head back to the map, which you can access whenever you see the Triforce scroll. From here you're advised to head to Nortinka.
What a name.
But I feel like I had cheated enough at this point, so I'm gonna continue this spoiler free. I'm just gonna pin this for now though, just in case. So here's Nortinka, technically the first area, and a snowland at that. I'll give it originality at least. Something nice in this area is that you can pick up snowballs when you kill a moblin. They're practically useless, but it's funny that you can throw them against enemies and they just make a metallic clink. To be honest, I like this area a lot. It's quite casual, there's not an overabundance of enemies like Garonu, and there's actually a bit of platforming that's surprisingly enjoyable despite the finicky controls. Anyway, hang on, let me kill this guy before I talk to the NPC down there. By the way, I probably should have mentioned earlier, but if you stand still for a couple of seconds, you'll automatically shield against projectiles.
What? I say it was a good concept, I didn't say I had good implementation.
I'll just put it down to a fluke. What does the Neanderthal have to say?
Help! Ganon froze the fountain! I'm stuck! I'm stuck!
Somebody's trying pretty hard to claim benefits.
Holy Christ, what the hell is that thing?
They're indestructible, but you need to get past them so you can progress. They just clink like stone or snow, I guess, when you hit them. Wait a minute.
I forgot to grind rubies for Morshu.
Alright, I've got bombs from Morshu now. Pathetic.
This game is absurd. Where do I go? What do I do? How do I defeat those Yeti, Andros, Magin, Muppet things? Yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that either. Exactly like I don't know where I'm going with this game. I might as well just throw this bit of gum I've been chewing for the last week at a map and let that decide where I go for me. I mean, after all, I've already gone to 2 places that lead to absolutely nowhere. I might as well add a third and make my own Triforce of Drivel.
Well, guess it's the flaming nipple. Oh, look at that, the Larkin lizards from Garonu make a return, but thankfully they're actually manageable to deal with this time since there's so few at once. Gomas also make an appearance here, and that's the extent of their appearance. I gave the remaining ashes of a Goma to this fisherman in a hut, and he gave me a long-range sword in return.
Biggest crab I ever caught.
Well, I caught it, actually.
It's a goma. You're pretty good. Here.
Yeah, mate, cheers, no worries, mate.
Off I go again. My merry adventures led to accidentally hitting an effigy and cursing me for life, but I also got a key which opened this door, so at least there's that going for me. Plus, you'll never guess what. The snowballs actually have a use here!
Get in!
In this cave you can melt the fire lizards to pick up flames, otherwise at the end there's just an exit back to the map. Or you can just die for the same result, it's easier. I also want to give you a reminder that this game is completely broken, don't forget that for a moment, okay? With fire in hand I decided to see if it could be put back to use in Nortinka, and with the long range sword in hand I carved a boomerang wall for an epitaph. The con artist downstairs will be next. Using the knowledge that some items can kill enemies, I doused the flames on the homunculus which cleared the path up the mountain. On the way up, Link kept taking damage from nothing. It turns out these tiny icicle droplets in the background can kill you. At the peak is the tower with some old Donny that I didn't listen to because I don't care anymore. Did open up a new area on the map though, and thus my adventures into Korodai continued.
By the way, I only know I unlocked a new area because I lost all my save data and realised I couldn't get back to the lighthouse and just assumed I had to replay the entire game again. So to give the game a bit of credit, at least it did point me in the next direction I have to go. Once. After aimlessly visiting another 3 areas. And losing all my save data.
Naturally I carried on to this new place, and I gotta say, the game is surprisingly easier with the beam sword. No, of course it isn't. Crouching suddenly actually works to avoid airborne atrocities now, and I actually enjoyed the level by level enemy rush during the lighthouse climb, which also ended up with finally grabbing a lamp to use the lamp oil with.
It'll light your way.
Thanks.
Yeah, mate, cheers.
Man sold me the lamp oil without the lamp. I mean, granted, I shouldn't expect to get a lamp with lamp oil, but it's the first area in the game. What else am I supposed to do?
I was spat back onto the map next to a place called Firestone Lake, so I noted that down on my computer and planned to head over there next. But now in possession of a lamp, I had some unfinished business at Garonu. Look at that, the gift of sight being put to the one use below shoving dog shit in your eyes. Here's a shocker, the design of the cave is not good! You need to jump onto this single drawer that looks like a background element to progress, and honestly I don't even care at this point. If anything, I want to applaud the level designers for somehow actually still finding innovations to ruin my day. On that note, a new enemy is introduced and their only purpose is to bait you down to fight them, because once you're down there, you're stuck. The door is blocked off by a background element.
You've betrayed me.
And there is literally no way out of this pit. You're supposed to platform across the higher path, but why would you place enemies to defeat down here if you're only meant to die to them? Was a bottomless pit not adequate enough? Luckily there's a constant stream of rubble coming from the ceiling, so if you miss a single jump, just throw your head into that. The rubble's flow will end, and so too does your life. The only way the next room could continue with this downward spiral is if there was a giant neon sign telling me to hit it with my sword and win a free iPhone, just so I can complete another 3 areas to install one app on it, only for it to end up being ransomware.
Everything about this game is bad, but Garonu just highlights all of it within one area. Tight platforming, constant enemy spam, broken hitboxes and questionable collision. I mean, fair play to it. If anything, it does a great job at highlighting what Zelda is through its very own Triforce of drivel.
The absurd amounts of power you need to survive the enemy onslaught on the bridge. The wisdom of navigating a directionless world just to get the lamp to light up one room of a cave. The courage to go on. At the top of the tower is the first boss Garonu, and God let me tell you about the bosses in this game. There's 5 in total which are essential to completing the game. This doesn't include Ganon, but I'll get to that. Some bosses are pretty easy to defeat, just keep hitting them, hope you get lucky with projectile spam, and you'll soon overcome them.
You can't kill me. No. No. No.
What? I'd say 3 of the 5 bosses fall into this category, and there's no gimmicks to them. It's seriously just as easy as keep hitting them.
Simples.
Then there's category 2.
I'm not going to elaborate on that.
Game time between the bosses is just like an overly tedious goose chase to awkwardly platform through one area, get one super specific item, go to another area, use the item in one super specific spot to get closer to one boss, rinse and repeat. Once you've defeated every boss, you can see Gwonam's house and he congratulates you on finding his house just to tell you to fight Ganon. Hey, you know how earlier on Gwonam was seen in a dark cavern before the scrap with Garonu?
Well, it turns out he's in every area before a boss himself. He's just floating around ready to give Link advice. I don't get it. He's meant to be helping you, right? Like, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say he's training Link himself to take out Ganon. But at this point, you just assume Gwonam can knock Ganon out cold himself, don't you?
Don't get me wrong, I'm sure Ganon would have a cracking team with him in the ring. But Gwonam is not only a sorcerer, but an Adonis. Right, I'm getting sidetracked. Ganon's lair against all odds is one of the easiest areas in the game. I only died once to a worm, so you can tell how much of a threat the final gauntlet is. Otherwise, this area takes elements from essentially every other part of the game, only after having played it for several hours and now having access to a surplus of items, it's not actually hard in the slightest.
Yeah, whatever. Now, do you remember earlier when I disregarded the final boss as actually being a boss in this game? You're ready to see why?
The final room before the boss is a vertical climb against the weakest enemies in the game, building suspense to a beautiful climax. Everything about the moment is just too perfect to even put words to, so I figured it's only right if I show you this entire finale in its rawest, purest natural form.
Join me, Link, and I will make your face the greatest in Korodai, or else you will die.
Poetic, isn't it? What a way to end this alluring story with the ironic metaphor of locking Ganon within a book himself. In fact, it's not the only thing that's even locked at the end of this story, because I soft-locked the game on the same frame I killed Ganon.
This game is abhorrent. Link the Faces of Evil is genuinely one of the worst games I've ever played. It's got an amazing art style and brilliant music, but the programming makes this entire experience fall apart. It's beyond redeemable. I really did want to say I like it. There were genuine moments where I had fun and I didn't mind the controls, but the vast majority of the time where they didn't work, plus the complete lack of direction to where you have to go, I just can't bring myself in good faith to say positive things about it to you. I don't know what words to describe it with. I like sad. Let's go with sad.
And there's so many small intricacies in the game I didn't even go into. There's so many items where every time you use one you lose rubies, but the game never tells you this, so enjoy grinding at Garonu. There's also a life counter. Again, the game never tells you this or shows it to you, so whenever you die there's a chance you might just get booted back to the map screen and have to start an area all over again. I've played through all of this game, and for what? I didn't even get a hug, pat on the back, congratulations.
Well done, Bluescreen.
And that's everything I said. But I enjoyed the game. I liked it. It's objectively bad, but oh, I love Link the Faces of Evil. And I lied to the internet. I lied to them for likes on a YouTube video. Please forgive me. Gilly hung up, so I'm talking to God now.
Gee, it sure is boring around here.